Just check. Okay, you can start whenever.
Hey everybody, this is Jade from Major League Hacking. I'm an operations specialist here. I'm also a former organizer at HackerU and a snack enthusiast. So we're here to talk about snacks and hacks at Hackathon and how you can provide the best food for all your participants. So we're going to go over what food is to a hackathon, how to plan it out, and how you should serve it. So first, what is food to a hackathon? We do post-event surveys at all of our member events, and we found out that food is the #1 thing that correlates to hacker satisfaction. So if you want your hackers to be happy, you should provide really good food there. So I like to tell everyone that your hackathon is a great time to showcase your local city food. At HackerU, you're really well known for fat sandwiches, which are these really nice, greasy sandwiches that are really filling. And we actually offered them for our midnight snack, and a lot of people liked it because it's a chance for them to experience our city because they don't get to come here that often. So why do you need to plan it out? There are a couple things that you should be aware of when you're organizing your hackathon, especially your venue requirements and just talking to your building coordinator in general. So there are some things that you need to consider when you're hosting your hackathon at a venue. You need to know if your venue offers catering, if you're required to use it, and how much it'll cost. If you need to hand in your contracts to your school, I know for us, we had to hand in our contracts at least 2 weeks in advance, which means that we needed to nail down our vendors before then. You should also find out if your school has a strict vendor approved list. For us, we did have a strict vendor approved list, and we had to pick food vendors based off of what Rutgers says it is okay to use. This might help you if you're struggling to look for a vendor because they'll just provide a list for you. Also, it'll save you a lot of time so that you don't find a vendor and then find out that you can't even use them. Something else that you should think about is if you need to be food safe certified, which means that you do a small class that says that you're qualified to handle food. It's really important to know. For us, we had to do it even just for picking up food. And that's really something that you should look into. So in terms of estimating for how many people are actually going to arrive to your event, we found that events generally see 30 to 50% attrition. But if you're doing confirmations, you can definitely expect a firmer number, but even then it'll still be around 50%. After everything, you should overestimate anyway because it doesn't hurt you to have too much food. So for example, if you have 1,000 people registered, you should account for 500 people coming. In terms of budgeting for your meals, we see an average of $7 per meal per person. If you're a 24-hour event, you should have at least 4 to 5 meals, which means lunch, dinner, midnight snack, breakfast, and lunch. And if you have a 36-hour event, 6 to 7 meals, dinner, midnight snack, breakfast, lunch, dinner, midnight snack again, breakfast, and lunch. In terms of your breakdown of your meals, not all of your participants are going to stay there the entire time. So you can account for fewer meals, which saves you money in the end, which you can reallocate for other things. So for lunch, if this is a 24-hour event, you should expect 80% of the people to be there. Usually people show up later past registration, which is when you have dinner, which you should account for 105% of the anticipated participants, because people are usually hungry around that time. They're either have been traveling all day, and they might just come for seconds. When it comes to midnight snack, you should anticipate 65% of those people. Mostly if you're a school that is more localized, say you're expecting all your participants to be within a 10 to 20 mile radius, people might just go home around that time, so fewer people are going to be at your event. But if you're offering travel reimbursements, busing, or people are flying in, they're definitely going to stay there because they have nowhere else to go. So you should expect more people if that's the case. Come breakfast, about 55% of the people will be there, and then lunch, about 50% of your people will be there, although it is still contingent on whether or not you are transporting people to your event. So for example, if you have a 500-person event, for lunch, it's 80% of them, so it's 2,800. Dinner, 105%, so 3,675. Midnight snack is 65% at 2,275. Breakfast is 55% at 1,925, and lunch at 50%, which is 1,750, which is a total of 12,500. So that's a budget that you can set aside so that you don't get shocked at the price, and maybe you might not have budgeted enough for it. There are cases where you can spend less money, which is in-kind sponsors, which means that you go to a restaurant or a catering service, whatever vendor, and you ask them to donate meals in exchange for presence at your event or advertising on your t-shirts and things like that. You can also get certain other vendors to just come and provide products. When it comes to snacks, we suggest $10 per person flat for snacks and drinks for the entire event. So if you have a 500-person event, you should be budgeting $5,000 total for your snacks. For meals, it's really wise to survey for allergies and restrictions because you can gauge how many of your participants are going to have special needs when it comes to purchasing the right foods. And the registration form is the perfect time to ask what kind of allergies they had. So, I mean, they're already filling something out, you might as well just add an extra question. Some common allergies and restrictions include peanuts, no pork, vegetarian, vegan, and shellfish. So let's say you have 1 to 5 people that have a restriction. You should weigh the cost of buying individual meals for them versus buying platters. If it is more than 5, it might be not worth your time and effort to buy individual meals for them. You might as well just go for a platter where other people also have that additional option after you serve those with restrictions. So when you're actually serving the food, you should definitely have those with allergies and so the foods that they're actually allowed to eat don't go away before they can eat them. And you should always gloves on hand and paper towels. The food gloves are really nice because you don't want the participants to serve themselves. It's not very sanitary, and when you have food gloves, it guarantees that you're not contaminating the food. Paper towels are also really handy. You're inevitably going to have a mess, and paper towels are going to save the day. So something that a lot of people don't realize is that the FDA suggests that you don't keep food out for more than 2 hours, and you should stay out of the 40 degrees to 140 degree danger zone, which essentially means that hot food should stay hot and cold foods should stay cold. So that's something you should keep in mind. You don't want your participants to be getting sick over your food. So as I was saying before, with your meals, you need to consider if you're busing the majority of your participants in, 100% of them are not leaving because they took a bus to get here and they don't have a place to stay, versus those who are from your school, which are more likely to go home in the middle of the night. So the breakdown of the snacks, I highly suggest bringing enough fruit and healthy options. I mean, not everyone wants to be munching on junk food, and having fruit and granola bars or snack bars, things like that are The previous one?
Snacks and drinks to $10 a person slide.
Do I do my entire screen? How did you do that?
Your entire screen.
And then was it like that? But then you also did something else.
No. Oh,
wait.
Just keep going. You doing? Just what are you doing? You stop screen sharing.
I know. Okay. Whatever. This one?
Yeah, just do it.
Is it still it's still going?
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to actually purchasing your snacks and drinks, I highly suggest getting enough fruit and healthy options. Not everyone wants to munch on junk food. Fruits and granola bars and snack bars are a nice alternative, and it'll definitely have people remember your event. If you are buying bananas, I highly suggest not buying them more than 3 days ahead of time. I made that mistake, and I had fruit flies living in my room for months. I do suggest getting them at least 1 to 2 days ahead of time, though, because they do need time to ripen. When you get them at a store, they're not ripe yet, and you want people to actually eat bananas. So I'm a huge fan of wholesale clubs. We actually bought all our snacks at Sam's Club, which is a wholesale club. You can also go to BJ's, Costco, things like that. What I like is that they have specials each month. So in October, they have Halloween candy. March, April, they have Easter candy. And they're all in bulk sizes, which is what you want because you're serving a lot of people. So Rutgers is actually a Pepsi school, which means that all our beverages had to be Pepsi products. And we found out that all wholesale clubs alternate the months in which Coke and Pepsi products are on sale. So if your school is like that as well, you should keep watch to see if maybe your brand is on sale. You'll save a lot of money that way. Something else that I've been telling all the organizers that followed after me is that you should definitely compare prices per unit rather than the whole price, which means that you should see how much each actual bottle of water, soda, things like that, or each granola bar or chewy bar, chip bag costs rather the entire box of it. Because you have to think about it that one hacker is going to take one bottle or one bag of chip or one granola bar rather than taking the whole box of it. So you have to see what the cost is per that item. You might end up saving more money that way. You should also see if you are one of those schools that is Pepsi specific or Coke specific to see if they donate to you. For us, we were lucky to get $200 worth of Pepsi products that we could spend on. You might also get the same deal, or you might even get discounts for those brands. If you're getting a lot of food, so if you are a hackathon of more than 200 or 500, 1,000, you should consider ordering it ahead of time and having it delivered to your venue versus picking it up. If you pick it up, you have to consider the weight of everything. Pallets of water is really heavy. It's a literal ton of water, and trucks may not be able to handle the weight. In addition, it also saves you a lot of time. Your volunteers could be doing other things rather than picking up your snacks. And ordering it ahead saves that extra headache of having to deal with another logistical thing. So if you are buying a lot of snacks, you should consider ordering it ahead and having it delivered to your venue. So these are a few snacks that I'm a huge fan of. Nature Valley bars, chewy bars, Welch's fruit snacks, and a lot of fruit. There's actually parfaits at Tree Hacks, which I found really unique. Not a lot of hackathons have fresh yogurt with granola and fruits and things like that. So it was a really nice touch to have that extra healthy option. When you're buying drinks, I highly suggest buying significantly more water than you think you need, specifically 4.5 times the amount of participants you're receiving. You would hope that all your participants are hydrated enough, and you don't want you not having enough water limiting them from not drinking what they want to drink. I also am a huge fan of presentation. As you can see, I color coordinate all of my beverages and snacks. It just adds an extra touch of professionalism, and it makes your hackathon more unique and more polished. So that's just from my point of view. I think making it look good is an extra touch of making your event look good as well. So make sure you have enough variety, and specifically make sure you have enough water so people can have that option. Water is the essence of life, and you don't want them to not have it. Some things not to do. So I was actually at an event that was a bottle-free school, which means that they don't sell you water bottles or anything in bottles, actually. But the thing that they didn't do was provide cups or bottles or things like that that we could fill up at a water fountain, and also they didn't tell us where the water fountains were. So if you are one of those schools, I highly suggest either providing reusable cups or even just pointing out where people can find water fountains. And this picture is actually from Hack Princeton, which I was at last year, and they gave out reusable bottles, which I thought was amazing. They weren't even a bottle-free school, but it was just something really unique that I enjoyed, and I remember it. I was also at another event that only offered water and energy drinks, which a lot of participants didn't appreciate. We ended up buying soda for them so they could drink something else. Not everyone likes to drink energy drinks. A lot of people choose not to drink energy drinks, and they want to have another outlet of caffeine, whether it's coffee or soda, juice, things like that. Just give a variety of things, because not everyone wants to be drinking only water or only energy drinks. Also, another thing is that midnight snack does not mean snack like gummy bears. A midnight snack is an actual meal. You need to consider it this way. If you don't provide a real meal during midnight, the last time they ate was around 6, 7, 8 when it was dinner time, and the next time they're going to eat is 7, 8, 9, which is breakfast. So that's like a 12-hour gap of people not eating, and you need to provide them a midnight snack, which is a real meal. What I really liked to do was I started this program called Jade Make Me a Sandwich, which was a web app where people can order a sandwich, and then I would make it for them and deliver it to their table whenever they wanted it. It was nice. They could choose whenever they wanted to eat if they were hungry outside of the meal times. I mean, it was also a way for them to grab food even if they didn't want to get up. I'd rather make the food for them and bring it to them rather than they not eat. You do want your participants to remain healthy and make sure that they're well nourished and everything. So make sure that your midnight snack is an actual meal. So something I learned as an organizer of HackerU is that I wrote everything down, everything I thought would be a good idea, and I commented on them after I executed them, whether they were a good idea, bad idea, or things I should have done differently. It definitely helped for all the future organizers, because they could see what I did, what I thought I did wrong, and how they can improve on it. And because I took the notes, especially when it came to snacks, I knew how much I bought, if it was too much, too little, if at what cost was reasonable, and if what I bought was actually truly needed or not. So this is an example of my order list that I did for Sam's Club, which broke it down to the quantity of things I bought, the price at which I bought it, the price per unit I bought it, which I was saying before, like how much for the specific bottle of water, how much for the specific granola bar, and if I truly needed it or not. It helped when I stepped down as an organizer, because the future food team could look at my list and come to terms with what is a good amount for the number of participants that we had. So once again, thanks for listening. I'm Jade from Major League Hacking. I'm the operations specialist. I'm a former organizer of HackerU, and I'm a food and snack enthusiast. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Jade. Now we'll move on to the questions portion of the office hours. Thanks, Jade. So, what was I saying? Thanks, Jade. Now we'll be turning it over to the questions portion of the office hours. The first question that we have is from Julian Engel. What are some healthy snacks that you can offer between meals, and should we have them available at all times or just during snack time?
Yeah, that's a really great question, Julian. So I'm a huge fan of having snacks out all the time. I actually didn't even realize that it wasn't a standard thing. I just knew from going to Hacker U so often, I just assumed that having snacks out was common, but I found out it was actually not. And I highly suggest having snacks out all the time. You don't want everyone to be on the same schedule, and not everyone is on the same schedule, and you want them to be able to eat whenever they want to eat. In terms of healthy snack options, I'm a huge fan of granola bars, fruits, lots of fruits like bananas, apples, pears, mandarin oranges, plums, things like that. If you're a small hackathon, like under 100 people, I've seen pints of strawberries, blueberries, things like that work really well. If you're a big hackathon, that might not necessarily be efficient because you won't be able to service everyone. But if you're small enough hackathon, things like that is a nice, unique touch. Even having yogurt out there, you do run the risk of having it spoil, but if enough people grab it in time, it'll be really nice.
Cool. How do you go about dietary restrictions? Do you have a separate table with, say, gluten-free meals and allergen-free meals, or can you put them all together on one table with proper signage?
Yeah, so proper signage isn't a bad thing. Even just pointing out the types of food you have is really nice because your volunteers that are serving might not always be attentive, and participants still want to know what they are. In terms of separating out the allergies, if someone has a really bad allergy, say a peanut allergy, then that's really unique. You might as well just purchase them a specific meal. When it comes to those with allergies, you, as I said before, you have them come up beforehand and get their food before everyone else. If they are a specific allergy, you might want to purchase their meal individually for them. But if there's a huge group of them that have a restriction, get a separate platter for them and have them come up first and grab it.
On a different note, how do we handle special cases that aren't so common? Let's say an oregano or specific peanut or specific nut allergy that is in one of the foods we provide. Do we filter those out and provide them with different options on the side?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So that ties into your registration when you're asking for people's food restrictions. Something like an oregano allergy is really unique, and you might just buy a meal for them. But that's something you would know beforehand, and you can plan it out accordingly.
Cool. Thank you so much for the questions, Julian. Up next, Svanik Shrodkar. How much money do you recommend we should spend on food for a 250-person hackathon?
Yeah, so I did the breakdown for 500 people, which is around 12,500. So you should probably have that around $6,000, $7,000.
And Diana Chang, similar to Svanik's question, but in a different unit of measurement, how many servings of food should we order for a 250-person hackathon?
In terms of servings, if you're a 24-hour event, you should probably have 4 to 5 meals for them. And if you're a 36-hour event, then 6 to 7 meals.
How about in terms of snacks? How many snacks should they prepare?
Yeah, so as I said before, I'm a huge fan of having snacks out all the time. It's really nice because you don't have to worry about specific times. You just have to have someone kind of restock it. You don't even need to have someone man it. In terms of variety, I really like a variety of chip options, different fruits, bananas, oranges, apples, and granola bars and little munchy things. What's really nice is that wholesale clubs actually sell bulk items in a huge variety. So you can get a bunch of Gatorades in different flavors, and you can get a bunch of chips in different flavors as well. So you're kind of hitting 2 birds with 1 stone.
What kind of variety should people have for their meals?
Having a lot of variety is really nice because a lot of people remember that there are a bunch of options. I'm a huge fan of like different pastas, different meats like pork, beef, and with pastas like whatever flavor pasta, and then also like a salad option. So you're kind of hitting all the food groups there.
This question from Rohan Mishra. What do you think of having no soda or unhealthy snacks at a hackathon?
Yeah, so that's really unique. I found that a lot of people like variety and they also like their caffeine intake. So having some sort of outlet where they can get their sugar in, whether it's juices or whatever, is really nice. But I don't really necessarily recommend not having just water there. You do want people to have a different variety of options.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jade. It was really great having you for this office hours. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you learned a lot about getting some really great food and keeping your hackers healthy at your hackathon. So thank you, Jade, for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening.